Let's do this.
That's right. We are on the CBD4U.net hotline, brought to you by CBD4U.net. You don't have to live in pain anymore, have trouble sleeping. CBD can help you. For great sales and great deals and free shipping, CBD4U.net. Today's guest is promoter, columnist, 2018 Woman of the Year, Kim Artlip, joins us today. Kim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and you know what? I actually do use CBD oil for pain, and it really does work. I will say that.
There you go. We have a testimonial right off the bat. Yeah, my wife uses it as well. That's how we got the sponsorship. She's had back trouble ever since she got T-boned by a dump truck back in high school, and the state that we live in is cracking down on CBD hard, but that's not going to stop me from giving my wife relief.
That's true. Yeah, Florida, it doesn't seem to have the issues with it, and I have a lot of back issues and arthritis and herniated discs, and it's a miracle for me to found it, and it actually works.
Let's go ahead and get into you. When did you first realize that, hey, I'm a wrestling fan?
I've been a wrestling fan since I was 5. First match I saw was 1970. Bruno Sammartino. So I've been a fan as long as I can remember. Every month, my dad took me to a little newsstand. I got the wrestling magazines as soon as I could read, and I was hooked. If you ever read my column or you listen to me on podcasts, I always talk about my love for Stan Hansen. I am a huge Stan Hansen fan.
Now, when did you decide to become more than a fan and become a promoter?
2015. 2015. I had had a different company. I was seeing some local indie shows. I was not impressed. And I thought, with what I know about business and how much I love wrestling, that this was something that I could do, that I would be passionate about. And to be honest, it's insane how passionate I am about this company. With all the stress and everything that goes into it, I can't imagine doing anything else now.
So tell everybody where they can find Ignite Wrestling on the internet.
We run the internet. No, we're on everything is at Ignite. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're an official Twitch partner. We're on Fight TV, Roku. Nothing else on .tv. We're on Amazon Fire. We're on Twitter, Snapchat. You name it. If it's a platform, we're on it. Pretty much.
That is awesome. Now, when you started promoting, I see now that you're on your page, you're one of 4 women promoters in the United States. That's an exclusive club. How many women promoters were out there when you started?
There were 4 owner promoters. There's a couple that say they're promoters that do it with their husbands. I don't do it. We're not a husband and wife team, which a lot of them, the husband owns it and the wife promotes. I do everything, and I love my husband, and I'm not dissing my husband in any way. He has a full-time job. He enjoys wrestling, but our levels of commitment and insanity toward it aren't even the same. He does handle the door. He handles the pay. He helps with the crowd at shows, but in the day-to-day, he's not involved at all.
And looking at some of the recent posts on your Facebook page at Ignite Wrestling, you had a post on there with a video package of some wrestlers that have come through Ignite that have made a name for themselves. And then the most recent post you have is congratulating Skylar Moore on her WWE Performance Center tryout. Tell us a bit about Skylar Moore.
Skylar is a student at Team 3D Academy. We learned about her through John Cruz, and I'm going to break kayfabe, Serpentico. John has recommended, because he's also a trainer at 3D, a lot of amazing people that John has recommended that he trains there. Skylar Moore, Kylan King, Leva Bates trains there, Teddy Stigma, the Classic Brothers. There's probably been about, I think, 18, 20 wrestlers that we've used that are students that have been trained there. Skylar came to us about a year ago. She came in in a dark match against Kylan King. We loved her. I mean, out of the gate, this girl is amazing. And it's been a year. We just had her in a tag team in February. This girl can do it all. Lucha style, she can dive, she can wrestle, she works the crowd. She's this tiny little heel, and it's just so over the top how hysterically funny she is, and mean, and she's so adorably cute, and just all this meanness coming out of this cute little package. But she really is a package. This girl can do anything in the ring. I was surprised to see her, but not surprised. And I knew it was a matter of time before she was there. Just like, we've seen Trisha Dora there. We've seen Jessica Carr, who is now one of the female referees in NXT. She came through. The majority of our females have come out of Team 3D. I mean, because we know that they can wrestle.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're the 2018 Woman of the Year Business Professional nominee for, what does this say, Indian River right here? Tell us a little bit about that award.
I was one of, I believe there were 10 candidates. I didn't win my division, but I was one of 10 candidates in the county as a business professional nominee, and which was a huge honor. And I was actually nominated by people that I've worked with, vendors and the event planners and the vendors that Ignite has worked with recommended me for that, was how I got nominated. And it was kind of cool because we went to, I believe it was John's Island or the Moorings, one of the beachside resorts. And there's a room of like 200-300 people, and you see all these volunteers and all these people doing all these things, and I'm walking across this room to the stage to get my little plaque as a nominee. I say pro wrestling, and just the look on people's faces was priceless. I seriously, if I wasn't in a dress and heels and being a mature adult, I would have done totally DX suck it. Because it was like wrestling. I mean, it's just absolute looks of horror on their faces. But, different strokes for different folks. Not everybody can do the same thing and run the same type of business and do the same volunteer thing. And at that time, we were also a nonprofit. A lot of people didn't realize Ignite Wrestling, and there was Ignite Advocacy. We also were doing work with families of special needs children. But Ignite Wrestling has grown so much, we didn't quite have the funding for the nonprofit. So I focused all my energy into Ignite Wrestling this year.
So you're in Vero Beach, Florida. Was there any promotion there before you, or were you the first promotion in that town?
There hasn't been wrestling in this area in 25 years.
Oh, wow. So how did that...
About 30 minutes south. We'll run at the Fenn Center in Fort Pierce. Years ago, there was wrestling about 30, 40 minutes south. But no, we pretty much, we are the only thing on the Treasure Coast in wrestling. So it's been interesting growing a fan base where wrestling hasn't been. And I mean, this is a beachy kind of upscale area. So to bring in wrestling was kind of interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you with, with the culture of the community, not having wrestling there. How did it receive you guys?
Well, we lucked out. I mean, we had been in some other venues in other towns, but when we settled into Vero Beach 2 years ago, we have a fantastic relationship with a place called Walking Tree Brewery. They've been absolutely excellent. We run Saturday afternoon shows every 3 to 4 months. And by bringing in quality wrestlers and not making it into a carny style event, we've been growing a fan base here because, we have Serpentico and Caleb Conley and Gary J. I mean, wrestlers that go out there and get it done. And that's one of the biggest struggles I've had is when I do talk to local businesses for sponsors, they're like, oh, get Joe from the radio station to wrestle. And I'm like, who would want to watch somebody that's never been in a ring get in there? Because it's a safety issue, and It's not entertaining. I would rather bring in, the people that are trained and professional and know what they're doing and put on a good show than just to do something for carny value. And I hate to say carny, but for shock value or whatever that word would be.
Right, and you're also a columnist for GorillaPosition.com. Shout out to Ryan Bowman and Michael Melkor. 3 days ago, you posted a story of the scourge of the bad indie manager. And it's a great piece. I love this piece. And you reference great managers like Bobby the Brain Heenan, J.J. Dillon, Jimmy Hart, Jim Cornette, Paulie Dangerously. What makes a good manager?
You have to know the crowd. You have to be able to work the crowd, and it's not about you. It's about what's going on in the ring and keeping the crowd invested in the action in the ring. And I think that's one of the problems when in the column, and I did get a lot of 90% positive, but the 10% of people that hated what I wrote were the people that were out there insulting the crowd, insulting the venue, making it all about them. And I talked about J.T. Davidson. I love J.T. Davidson, by the way. Great guy, Dave Chris manager. And he did a show for us two and a half years ago, 2016, July 2016. And I was so fascinated watching him work the crowd and work the ring and work the crowd into the action, into the ring, that I couldn't even watch the ring because I was just absolutely blown away. I'd never seen a manager in the previous year or two live that could do that, and on the indies, it was always Heyman or this one or that one, but this guy blows them all away, and I don't know why he's not on a bigger stage. The guy's amazing.
Right, we're talking with Ignite Wrestling promoter, columnist, and 2018 Woman of the Year nominee, Kim Artlip, on the CBD4U.net hotline. Now, Kim, if someone out there is thinking about starting a promotion in their area, say they don't have a competing promotion and they're looking for the best way to promote their promotion, what have you found the most successful ways of promoting a wrestling promotion?
A lot of it is you have to go back to basics. You have to get the word out. Facebook alone and Twitter alone are not going to get you over. You have to go old school. Posters, talking it up. I'm one of the few promoters that actually networks. I'm at the Chamber of Commerce. I'm at the Rotary Club. I'm at this networking breakfast, that networking breakfast. I'm at other events where I'm doing vendor tables. You have to promote awareness. If you have no awareness, you're not going to have anyone show up. And I've seen a lot of promotions that had really good concepts and really cool graphics, and their logos were great, and nobody knew who they were or where they were at because they only shared it with their family, with their friends, and nobody else knew about them. So unless you can get that buzz going and create an awareness, that's the first thing you have to do. And you have to understand this is a business. Being a wrestling promoter is not about getting your friends on shows. Being a wrestling promoter is about running a business. And what you want to do is you not only want to make money, which, trust me, you're not on your first show, but or your second or your 15th.
Oh, no.
You're never going to make money. But it's not about the money. It's about creating the buzz. It's about creating the legacy. It's about making the memories. And that's the problem you see. Most promotions are created out of a sense of anger because so-and-so is not booking me, or I can do this better, or screw this person, I should be a headliner. If you're not main event material when you create a company and put yourself in the main event, you're going to fail. Exactly what's going to happen.
That is so interesting because I was reading a Facebook post from a wrestler the other day that said the same thing about wrestlers starting promotions that are terrible promotions just so they can be the headliner and wear the strap.
Absolutely. And it's been an ongoing joke because if you look at my Facebook, you'll see pictures of me holding the strap, and it's actually over there in the closet. I have an extra set of belts through a misprint. But I would take the belt with me when I network because everybody wants to touch it. And it didn't matter if it was a women's belt. I have tons of guys posing in a women's belt because it's so cool. But, it's been an ongoing joke. When am I going to put the belt on myself? Well, yeah, that's kind of cliche. But if you look at these guys, there they are. These guys were main eventing in their own company that can't even get a booking in another company, let alone a mid-card. So yeah, I mean, you're doomed to failure if you're creating a promotion as a vanity project to get yourself over. I hope you and your mom and dad and your friends have a good time, because that's basically all it's going to be. It's an ego project. It's not a business.
Right. And if there's any young wrestlers who maybe just got out of school, they're looking to get booked, nobody knows them, they haven't made a name for themselves, how should they properly reach out to a promoter?
Yeah, if you message me and say, "Hey, babe," or "Hey, hon,"
Oh, no.
yeah, pretty much you're never going to get any. I am not the booker anymore. Originally, I was the booker, and I will say Aaron Epic is my booker. He's also currently our champion. But you have to be trained. You got to get the experience. We get a lot of people every show that have never wrestled or took a couple classes that have no experience. We're not putting you in the ring. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the basics and you can't protect yourself and your opponent, no. Go to a school. Team 3D Academy is excellent. Go to a school, get experience, start doing student shows, and you've got to get that ring awareness, because just because you took a 6 months or a month or a year of classes, if you're not getting bookings, your trainer didn't do something right. Your trainer should be helping you get your original bookings and teaching you how to approach. And I've talked about that. Brutal Bob Evans talks about that. Chris Silvio talks about that. There are ways to approach a wrestler, and saying, "Hey, I want to get booked," in a message doesn't cut it. I want to know who you are. I want to see your pictures. I want to see your videos. I want to know who trained you. I need to know, do you have a look? Do you have a gimmick? Not just, "I want to work." Well, if you want to work, you can come set up the ring, because that's all you're going to get to do until you get that experience.
Yeah, and that's what I was just going to say. That's another piece of advice I saw from a wrestler that said, just because a promoter doesn't book you, ask if you can come help set up the ring, or help, set up anything and help around the promotion.
Yeah, I'll be honest. A lot of our scramble matches, you'll see scramble matches and 6 ways and 4 ways. Those are the guys that we didn't originally book that showed up with gear. No matter where you go, always have your gear, because I can think of probably 12, 14 guys that weren't on our card that you'll see in an Ignite ring, because they showed up, they came early, they set up the ring, they asked questions, and we're like, "Okay, we're going to put you in a match. This is what you're going to do," and they followed directions, and they worked their way into being into the shows. Nick Nero is a perfect example. He's now living in Ohio, but Nick Nero showed up, did ring crew, did some stood at ringside doing some lumberjack matches, and eventually worked his way up to being one of our opening match guys, because he worked the crowd so well. But all because he showed up and put out the effort and the initiative.
Right. Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. You gave us great insight on being a promoter, and I think it's really cool about just the fact that, you are so immersed in your community, and you guys are doing great things over there. I love your work on GorillaPosition.com. Keep that up. This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me on. It's not often I get to get on podcasts and talk a little bit outside of the shows themselves, so it's always fun.
Most definitely. And you said maybe you might start your podcast back up. What's the word on that?
Honestly, and I'll say this nicely, I will podcast. It's coming, but in the interim, I'm actually doing some being coached by a business coach, because I would love to jump into podcasting, and there's a lot of things I'd like to do, but it has to make sense.
There you go.
So I'm working on a whole 2-year plan of the company and me and how we both will interact. And it's kind of it's a little complicated, but I'd love to put myself over, but I want to put the company first and a lot of stuff. And I originally started, before I was actually a promoter, I had a talk radio show about wrestling.
Oh, cool.
So, and I was on live stream and everything. So it has to make sense and it has to tie in, but it doesn't have to necessarily be the Ignite podcast. I want something that's me, but Ignite, that it has to tie. It's hard to explain.
No. I totally get you. You got to have a plan, and you got to follow that plan.
Yeah, I just don't want to jump into something and be like, okay, and now we're going to revamp it. No, I have to have it set to it makes sense out the gate and promoted and built correctly. I don't want to have to keep revising it as I go. That's frustrating, which I've had to do on other projects.
Follow Ignite Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube. Check them out on Fight TV. Man, you got it going on, Kim. Thank you so much. Keep doing a great job, and we appreciate your time. Have a good one.
All right, thanks so much.